So Gary, you faced some...
You can call me Gary.
Well, okay. Yes, sir. We can go there together later.
Turned out to be a comedy, isn't it?
So Gary, you faced some of the best bowlers in the world. Who was the best that you faced? Fast bowling and spinners. Who was the best?
Ah, you got the question right. Because a lot of people ask questions. Which was the best bowler you played against? You know, and there are many types of bowlers. There are spin bowlers, there are fast bowlers, and there are tricky bowlers. And you just ask the right question, which was the best fast bowler I played against, and which was the best spin bowler I played against. You know, I played against quite a lot, even my own. There's Hall, Charlie Griffin.
Yeah.
You know, I played against all of them. And apart from my own, because I never played against them in test matches. And I've always looked upon cricket, as far as I'm concerned, test cricket is the utmost. I don't care what you play. Test cricket will always be the best, and the one that people should try to play. And I judge people by not so much performances, because a lot of people can perform under different circumstances than others. You know, people can perform when things are easy and the bowlers are not even trying. People can go up there and perform under those conditions. But when the going gets tough, then I can judge my performances. And I tell you, I've always looked at Freddie Truman as one of the best. I know Freddie tells people how good he was, what a great bowler he was. But he was. You know, and what made me say that is because you would play against Freddie. No. Stedham was a good bowler, a great bowler. He was too accurate. I didn't think from the floor that changing my trend. Would you let me finish and then bring in those people you want to talk about? Or are we going to start an argument? Freddie was the type of bowler you can bring him on the most placid wicket in the world and he will run in and he will bowl and bowl his heart out. And he will always make the batsman feel that something is happening, that he's doing something with the ball when he's absolutely doing nothing. But by doing that, unless you understand the game and realize that this man is giving his 100% at all times, you start thinking to yourself, what does he find in this wicket that he keeps coming at me like this? And eventually it works on your concentration. And eventually you will do something stupid. And Freddie knows that. And that's what Freddie was like. If the wicket was doing something, he was beautiful. If it was doing nothing, he was still active. You know, like, I played against bowlers. Let's for instance say Alan Davison. Great cricketer, great all-rounder, great fast bowler. But if Alan Davison went out to bowl to you, and the first 2 overs did nothing, he put a muscle. If the first 2 overs, the ball moved around, you got a wicket, you couldn't get the ball out of his hand. To me, that is not really a bowler that you really want on the team. That's an opportunity. But he was a great cricketer. Very great cricketer. So I've always said Freddie. And you know, Fred and I have always got on very well. And I remember I came to England in 1957, my first year here. I played in about 37 games out of 38, because in those days you were here for 6 months, not 2. And you played every county twice. Plus you also played about 5 festival games. Hastings, Torquay, Eastbourne, Scarborough. You know, you played all of those games on top of it. And I played in every one. I missed 1 game. I came back the following year because I had a fairly good season and I was able to get into one of the leagues. Because in those days, to get into a league club in the Central Lancashire League or in the Lancashire League was very, very difficult. Because you had the top players. All the top players used to fill those positions. But I was lucky, I got in to one of the teams, and the team was Radcliffe. I went to Radcliffe, I had a pretty good season that year. I came back the following year and had another good season. So I used to get invited to functions like this just as a drawing card because I couldn't put 2 words together. And now I'm trying. You know, and Freddie was the one who always came along with me because he was the big daddy. And he would make them laugh. And they would forget everything that I had said. So it was nice. But at the end of every speech that Freddie made, he would say to the audience, "Ladies and gentlemen, this great man was my rabbit." I've got him out more times than any other bowler, and I was the first bowler that got him out for naught. So after a couple more of those functions, I got a little bit tired of being Freddie's rabbit. So at the end of my little slither, I would say to the audience, "Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Truman will tell you that I was his rabbit, that he was the first man got me out for naught, and he got me out more times than any other bowler." It is true that he was the first man that got me out for naught. But what Mr. Truman doesn't realize is that you don't make naught. You start with naught. And it is true that he got me out more times than any other bowler. He got me out at 226. That was his rabbit. I wasn't any more rabbit for Freddie after that. But he was a great man. As a spin bowler, is one that I doubt many people heard of him because in those days the Indians never played a lot of Test cricket. But his name has been in the history of cricket. A little fellow called Subhash Gupta from India. He was the best leg spinner I ever saw, I ever played against. He came to the West Indies in 1954. 53. And playing against Weeks, Worrell and Walcott, I think on our wickets in those days were absolutely classic. I think he got 28 wickets. And no other spin bowler has ever done that. But he didn't play a lot of cricket in India. He left India and went and lived in the West Indies. And I think that he was the best spin bowler because he was very accurate. He could beat you with flight in the air, and he used to bowl 2 googlies. He used to bowl you one from here, and he used to bowl you one from on top. Shade 1, good leg spinner, great leg spinner. Everybody thinks he's probably the greatest the world has ever seen. But he had a googly that you can close your eyes and see it.
I'll show you more than that. Yeah.
So those are my 2, as far as I'm concerned, those were the 2 that we've had a lot of great fast bowlers, you know. Wes Hall and Brian Statham. Brian Statham was a very great fast bowler. But the problem with Brian Statham is that he was too accurate. And once you played the first over, you could actually close your eyes and put them back in the same position. That is a fact. That's why he never got as many wickets as Freddie. And he didn't play as long, where Freddie was here, there, and then a good one, but then he learned to bowl. That's where he learned to bowl. And when you look at his record of 309 wickets, and he missed about 4 tours to India, and he missed 2 tours to South Africa. Now you can imagine if he had gone to India in his heyday. For just 2 of those tours, he was looking at another 40 or 50 wickets, because in those days the Indians didn't like fast bowling. They couldn't play, but he didn't go. And he didn't go to South Africa either. So he missed a lot of tours in between. And still finished up with 309 wickets in 60 test matches, playing against the strongest. So that'll give you an idea of how great a bowler he was. Does that answer your question?